now we're going to work on the gray spot, the gunk that goes up in here. There's a gray buildup. Remember, he used to have black, I assume Gaffers tape or duct tape or something wrapped all around here to hold on a strap. But when he removed all that, there's this gray gunk, and you can see it in this picture pretty clearly. So I've got the picture lined up. We're going to do that. But for right now, I'm going to add this little chunk that's gone, a little scraping of the black there that gets revealed, a couple little nicks. I'm going to do that and get it to look a little more real. This is the current day Frank that's on display, or was on display, in New York City. So I'm going to add a little bit there. Let's go ahead and do some of this shading right here. All right, so let's go ahead and do this gunk. You can see I sprayed over the spot that we did earlier that just wasn't happy with. So, but now we're ready. So we use the JB Weld steel hardener. This is the standard stuff that everybody uses for this gray gunk. And it's just mixed 1-to-1. And of course it's going to be difficult. So will be difficult back. All right. So 1-to-1. Now that's more than you need, but it kind of gooped out on me. Wipe off that tip before you screw it back on, or it'll be a pain in the butt next time. There's 1/2. And here's the other half. All right, now I use the chopsticks that I save and collect for things just like this. Circle that in while drawing the white and the black together into one big pile. Now, you don't have long to work with this, but you got long enough. So I'm going to wipe off this chopstick, and then let's start seeing what we can do here. So we're going to start with that long triangle right there. I can already feel it getting stiff here. And we want to get down into this area. It kind of connects up a bit. And you can dab here if you're the dabbing type. And we're going to put a good pile there, because this comes all the way over. And then get the excess off, pick up a little of this, because it's a bit much, and work it up just a little bit to right there. And then there's a tiny little dash right there. So we got that. Now let's try to shape this a little bit better. Get that excess off while you can. And when it begins to thicken up, that's when you can kind of put some more of the detail in it. And I would say get a fresh toothpick or whatever you want to use. But we wanted to get it on, get the excess off. And now, when we dab it here, it should stick a little bit better to where we want it to be. And then with the clean end here, I'm going to go in and try to add some detail where there's some white that should be showing. Okay, so I'm done with that. Let me get my handy matchstick and see if I can get this to give me a little more detail. Alright, so I wiped a little bit from there. I want to wipe a little bit out of the center area. Okay. And then I just want to fill in a little bit where that should be a little more rounded. So something more like that. And get a little bit of edges to crop out, make it so it doesn't look so round or symmetrical. There, that's about what you can do. Now there is a burn that looks like the same material, but it's not. Burn right there. And it comes down right about here, off of this first one here. So while I still have a little bit of wet stuff here, I'm going to see if I can make that kind of odd triangle. It's kind of a bizarre triangle, but it comes out, comes down, and that's the extent of it. So I'm going to try and wipe up a little bit because it's still just a bit too heavy. Now, it's still wet, so if you got a little place here where you don't want something, you can still pretty much wipe it off. And I usually have swabs with me when I'm doing this, and I do not at this exact moment have one, so I would have used it for that. So let's just get a little bit more here and get that texture and triangle shape in there. And it actually comes all the way to the black. So there. So we've got all the spots there covered now. I went ahead and put the eye hooks in. They were tight enough going in that I didn't have to actually use any super glue. So I'll come back and I'm going to do just a little bit of this scraping here where that white is when I know it's really dry. All the pink has been removed. And I'm still going to hit a little bit with the airbrush. And then we hit it with clear. And it's done. And then we put the reflectors on. And then the hardware. Some tape we need to do. Holding tape. And it's Gaffers Tape, which is a cloth-based tape that's pretty darn strong. So I've already measured at this length, which, just as an example, on this Franky comes from just before that screw hole and covers down to about there. So that area right there. What I do is I take that measurement and I go just a little bit over, maybe let's say a 1/4 inch, because we're going to trim the ends. We don't want to have that loose frayed look. Now the entire width of the final tape is a 1/2 inch. So because it's 3 layers, we have to account for folding it. And we're going to do that by starting off with just under a 1/2 inch width. Now the hard part is to get this thing to fold over just right, because the cloth tape doesn't really hold a crease very well. Use super glue. And I'll put a thin little bead here, smooth it out with the side of one of these wooden toothpicks, like that, and then I'll fold it over and hold it. But to help it along, get a straight edge, the back side of a razor. What I want to do is kind of break some of that cloth material so that I can fold it and know that it's going to fold where I want it to. So I just use this back edge, and you want to just run it along a few times. You don't want to cut through it. But doing that about 4 times gives me a line where I can fold it. But now I know I can fold that over and it's going to stay. And what this is right here is just the back piece, the smooth plastic part, wax I believe, covered this paper here. And the tape doesn't stick to it. Now they make a couple different types of super glue. And they now make a gel. And for this, I love the gel. It's the only time I use it. The traditional super glue is really very, very thin. And it comes right up through the threads on this tape. And so I don't want to use that. What I do want to use is this gel. And it'll come up through there as well, but I don't want it to come up as much. So I'm going to now add just a thin little line. It doesn't need to be much, because as soon as you smear it, you've got more than enough on there. So right there, that's plenty. Take your whatever you might have. Make sure the ends are done, because that's the important part, is you want to get both these ends to hold down. So smear it. That's enough for the first fold. Now we fold it. Alright, old piece of wood. that I used. And now to put something flat on top. Piece of plexiglass. Then you just want to peel this back carefully. So there's your first fold right there. You can push it down flat. But see how it maintains that flatness and that edge? That's exactly what you want. So we're going to do one more fold. The excess we tear off, and then we're done. So now this does have adhesive, obviously, so I could fold it one more time and have no problem, but it is better to be safe than sorry. So a little bit on the ends. And then you can just do a little bit across the middle. It doesn't take much because you already have adhesive. All right, smear this out a little bit. And if you can, try to push it up into that area where you're going to do the fold. And usually this one folds pretty easily because you've already got a crease, or you've already got a double layer right there. Let's put this guy back on. And I'm going to use it just to hold it down. All right, we're good here. I'm going to pull this off from the back. There we go. That's a 1/2 inch. And that is flat as can be. I want to peel this off, and I'm going to rip this extra piece off. Being cloth, it'll rip in a straight line. Start the rip just underneath that fold. There you go. Now I trim the ends. Okay. I know you're saying to yourself, well, that looks like it's a very clean piece of white tape. It won't be. Because we've got ash.